Welcome back. I'm Dr. C, and I am currently searching for the Past and Future box, one of 5 boxes that John Collins Black has hid across the United States and provided clues in his book, There's Treasure Inside. Today, I'll be discussing the Path to the 5 Clues, Part 1. Previously, I've shared a 3-round game that's hidden within the word search that includes riddles, graphic images, and keys that unlock a waypoint to begin the quatrain. The path to the 5 clues is actually quite different, but you do need something from the 3-round game in order to help you complete your task at finding the 5 clues. And actually, when John came out and told everyone that you either have all 5 clues or none, it actually confirmed a solution that I had been sitting on for some time. It is my belief that the 5 clues that you're looking for are actually 5 letters that confirm the location found in the 3-round game. The path to the 5 clues begins with the copper key. Then we must locate the Jade Key. We must learn how to use the Jade Key. We locate a helper. Then we must use the copper key. And this part is when you need to access something that you found in the 3-round game in order to finalize the 5 clues, which, like I said before, confirms your location you found in the 3-round game. In order to complete this task, we're going to have to dive into some topics. Each of these topics are easily a very long video that I would love to dive deeply into, but I can't do it right now. So in the future, I think I will take time out, hopefully, to cover things like pattern recognition, letter frequency, going into the word search in detail, how we get the final words that we do, the hidden message, discussing number theory, which is important to derive the hidden number 7 that's in the word search, final board game. Also, you need to understand Ready Player One and how it impacts the 3-round game and locating a copper key and a jade key and a crystal key. And additionally, we're going to learn a little bit about cryptic crosswords. I think it's important to take on educating yourself on cryptic crosswords because it helps you understand wordplay, how you can actually hide so many things within a few keywords. There will be a little bit of a spoiler. I'm going to solve the cryptogram, discuss the key, discuss the important things in the key. Before we're able to get on the path to the 5 clues, we need to take a look at our hidden anagram message. Now, I'll need to prepare videos on all of this. The word search, how to build out the hidden anagram message, how to finalize your game board, and I'll do that in the future. But for this solution, you're going to need to accept my boards as they are presented. So the first board I want to present to you is the hidden anagram message. There are 5 clues in this word search, but do not tell anyone. Line them up. There are no special bends or turns. Just remain steady to complete the mission. Now this is really interesting because it's telling you that the 5 clues are in this word search. But I want to point out something. When we find the hidden anagram message, we have to use a word found in the word search, line, to be able to complete the message. So we include line them up. This is an indicator. Line is an indicator based on the positioning, and also the O's that surround it are very similar to the O's in the word and surrounding the word liar. So you are in fact supposed to consider that there is a lie in this statement. There are 5 clues in this liar word search. What that means is that as soon as you get to this point, this is a lie. There are 5 clues in this, and this is the most important part of this statement because this is how our cryptogram begins. So what that tells us is that the 5 clues are not in the word search. They're located in this, signifying that they are inside the cryptogram. So let's take a look at the cryptogram now. All right, here we have our encrypted cryptogram. And if you haven't solved it yet, you might want to pause this to do that yourself. But here's the results in 3, 2, 1. So again, I'll probably do a video explaining how to solve for a cryptogram. It's basically a substitution. And what's important here, though, is looking at the encrypted letters. And if we focus on this in the cryptogram, this is the word that ties us to our hidden anagram message. This is essentially the anchor. It's weaving it together. It's the connection that tells us that the 5 clues are contained in the cryptogram. Something important to note as well, if you do continue to look over the letters that John specifically chose, because he was allowed to choose which letters to substitute to create this encrypted message. He chose to use the letters MVPL, which I believe stands for most valuable player, which is an indication that past is the most valuable word when you're trying to solve for the location of the past and future box. And that actually connects very well with my solution. So I'm happy to have found that. Here's something else that I'm not completely married to, but I found it either way. I always felt that when you read the decrypted cryptogram and you got to the point where it said, "Arrive you now where beauty sheens," I always thought sheen might mean that you flip the word now and it means that you won. Now, I've since then changed some of my thinking, but I always like that, flipping the now to won, meaning you've won the box. And if you go ahead and choose the letters that John chose in the encryption key, now flip to 1, and also reading it backwards, it's DIYCINX. DIY is generally referred to as do it yourself. CNX, we replace the letter C with actually SEE to see it. So CNX, and I think this is an indication that you're going to use the singular X that's located in the word search in some sort of map fashion to find the exact location of the treasure. Now let's continue on and take an actual look at the cryptogram key. And kudos to John for putting a key in a key. The one thing that you want to notice with this is that the U and the C are mirrored. So in substitution, the U substitutes for the C and the C substitutes for the U. You also have something similar with the YN, which comes into play later, and I'll get to that. But right now, the most important thing is to notice that CU is the symbol for copper, and you have found your copper key. Now, at this point, that's about as far as anyone's taken it. This has been mentioned in the community. Hey, maybe this means copper for Ready Player One. This is the first key you find. What's actually quite fantastic about locating the UC inside of the cryptogram is there's chapter text that hints to it. On page 226, it reads, "Once you have finished our word search, you will have plenty of what you need to find this treasure box. But in case you still aren't convinced and want even more help, you're in luck." This is a perfect example of Cryptic Crossword. When he says, "you're in luck," the word "in" is telling us to look into the word luck. And inside luck is UC. So this is sort of a fun little wordplay to get you to locate UC as an important part of this clue system. And what's amazing is that UC actually has a bigger role throughout the 3-round game and the entire solution. So it's going to be a lot of fun to dive deeper into this down the road. But for right now, you've got your copper key, and we're going to move on to try to find the Jade Key. All right, let's take a quick look at Cryptic Crosswords. Very, very quick. If you haven't yet, check out minutecryptic.com. They just released their book. It came out, I believe, December 30th, 2025. And it's fantastic. I got it the other day at Barnes & Noble, and I love it. I've only got a little bit into it. I'm not an expert by any means in Cryptic Crosswords. Let's pull up an example from their book. "Sharing these unique clues keeps beginners baffled." So what we're looking for is something called a fodder. And the fodder is essentially the words that provide the building blocks of our wordplay. And these are the words that we're going to manipulate to ultimately find our answer or find our clue. So we have our fodder, and then after that, we do need to find our indicator. And an indicator is essentially telling you what to do to the fodder. And usually it means to how are you going to manipulate it? Are you going to anagram it? Are you going to substitute it? Things like that. And in a traditional cryptic crossword, they also have a definition. When we work in John stuff, we probably won't have definitions, but we'll have indicators and we'll have fodders. Anyways, in this particular situation, the indicator is saying beginners. What that's telling us is to look at the beginning letter of each of the words in the fodder. So we're going to go with S, T, U, C, K. And that spells stuck. And if you're baffled, you're stuck. And that's how it works. So we're going to use a little bit of this in our approach. Let's dive in now. All right, one of the parts I've been waiting for. We actually get to coin a new term. I don't believe this has been used in treasure hunting. Now, of course, John uses it in his treasure hunt, but since I found it, I get to name it. I like to call it word weaving. There were other options, lexical anchor and whatnot, but word weaving seemed like the most memorable and it fit John's narrative so well. Defined as a design technique where multiple clues are interconnected through a single hidden word or concept that binds the puzzle structure together. Dr. C. I don't know when the Wikipedia page is going to go up, but if somebody wants to go and get that up there and just make sure to reference Dr. C. I'm sure most of you remember this from Latin class, but text, the English word text, actually comes from the Latin root textus, meaning that which is woven. So what John does is there's multiple examples, but for this particular video, I'm only going to show you one, and that is he uses the word just 3 times in this chapter, 2 times inside the chapter text, and 1 time in the hidden message. So I'm going to show you how those 3 words just have been woven together to form a clue system to allow us to line them up and locate the Jade Key. All right, the first just we'll go ahead and point out is in the hidden anagram message where it reads, there are 5 clues in this word search, but do not tell anyone. Line them up. There are no special bends or turns. Just remain steady to complete the mission. The word just in this particular instance is connecting us to the anagram itself. It's trying to bring us to it, to look at it as part of the clue system. So when we come back to it, we'll ultimately be utilizing the line them up. And the next one is located within the chapter text. Sorry, I don't have the page number listed here, but you'll find it. It's in the Bitcoin section. It reads, it's a digital asset born just 15 years ago by an anonymous creator to be a currency of the future. Just 15. The clue here is 15. We're going to tie that into the clue system. We're going to weave it in. Okay. And the last one, this is the most important one, and this is one everybody loves, is just don't get upset at me if it's too easy. This one is the one that we're going to apply our cryptic crosswords to in sort of a not perfect way, but you'll see that there's some elements to it that we will be able to utilize. So the first thing is spotting the indicator, and that is upset. The word upset used in cryptic crosswords generally will make you want to manipulate the word, change the word, upset it, disrupt it. That's kind of what the indicator is telling you to do. And usually in cryptic crosswords, it would be the @me, which is right next to it. So that would be like, oh, do we anagram it into the word team or mate? Unfortunately, it's not that perfect. So actually we're treating me as the single word for the fodder. And it means that upset will be upsetting or changing the word me. And we'll come back to that. The next thing is that we do have some wordplay inside of this sentence. Too easy. Everyone in the community has noticed this. I'm sure probably you picked it up on your first read. Too easy can be changed to too easy. And if you look back at the word search, you're going to find that an E and a Z is placed right next to each other, one horizontal and one in a vertical fashion. And I'll show that board here in just a second. But I wanted to point out one more thing is sometimes in cryptic crosswords, when you see a capital letter or the the first word of the sentence and it begins with, in this particular case, a J, a capital J, we might be utilizing that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that word search and we'll spot the two EZs. All right, jumping over to our word search, we can now locate our Jade Key. First, we're going to look for our two EZs from our word weave. The word just hinted us to the sentence, which included the words too easy. We locate too easy on the board. Our word weave also included just 15. So 15 is one of our clues. So we're actually going to look at row 15 as part of this word weave. And the last thing, line them up. Just was associated with the hidden phrase. And I believe it was intended for us to reference the line them up in this particular clue system. So let's go ahead and take one look at the final game board. There's some important stuff that we need to take a look at as we pursue this clue system. So the final game board, this is something that I'll generate a video on. It's basically what you end up with after you've uncovered the hidden anagram and then rearranged all the letters back to where they go. But what had happened during that process was that it removed certain words. And this is the final board. Again, there'll be a whole video for that. This is the final board. And what's important to notice about this is that we use a number theory to get to this board. And these are the numbers that are located in the word search when you're all done. So right now we have 19, and that represents the 19 O's. We have the number 12, which is in reverse, and that represents the 12 reverse words. We have 5, which is forward, and that represents the 5 remaining words. I know you might want to say, oh, Sapphire's down there. Again, this is part of a whole nother video where this system here is anagrammed out to read play basic ciphers, and it's no longer part of the final game board. So we just have 5 forward words, and again, the video will talk about which words those are. We have 2 3s that appear in this. One represents the downwards, and 3 diagonal, and 0 finally for 0 upwards. And we have the number 11 unused. And also, when you take a look at the board, the diagonals where they intersect with other words, horizontal words and vertical words, they spell out 7. And that's going to give us 1 additional number as part of our final game board. So we have 11 and 7. Let's see how we can apply that. Count 11. Okay. So what are we counting exactly? Well, a lot of people have been counting down. I mean, that's one way to do it. But also consider that this is a column. So we're going to count 11 columns. This is our first column. And we'll count across to the 11th column. And we'll mark that. And then we'll also count 7. We'll go to the 7th column and we'll mark that one as well. What appears in both 7 and 11 that also ties with our current just clue system? Well, we have the 2 EZs. Let's go ahead and show the 2 EZs again. We're also looking at 15. What we're going to be looking at is the 2 Zs, column 7, column 11, and row 15. Because we are going to line up the 3 Zs. And this goes back to understanding pattern recognition and letter frequency. There's a certain amount of letters show up in the English language at a certain frequency. And in the word search, it also has a certain amount of letters that show up in it. And Z is showing up more than it actually should in the English language, 3 times as much. We should only have 1 Z in this word search of 300 letters. We have 3. And the fact that they're bunched up is indicating that it's a possible clue. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and line these up. And what that would look like is, let's see here. Well, something important I should mention. When we do line these up, I want you to think of the word search board like a Atari game or a Pac-Man, like Pac-Man or Asteroids. When Pac-Man leaves the screen on the right, he comes back on the left. Or when you're playing Asteroids and your ship's spinning around and the asteroid goes off the screen to the top, it comes from the bottom. So that's how you're going to have to treat this word search. Anytime you shift columns, which you'll be doing a few times even in the 3-round game, you do a little bit of shifting, not a lot, but it's always the columns, never the rows. You'll be pushing them up. So let's just take a quick look at what that would look like. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to a clean board here. We're going to go ahead and move up column 7 and 11. And this is what that would look like. We would shift it up. And as I mentioned, the 2 I's that have been pushed upward will now come to the bottom. Does that make sense? So you shifted 2 columns up. Now your Z's are lined up. We have lined them up. And what you can notice at this stage is me is just to the left. We go back to our clue system. Just don't get upset at me if it's too easy. And upset was our indicator and our fodder was me. So we are to change the word me. And if you recall, the capital letter in that sentence was just, which is a J. That's a kind of a clue, but also we have to remember that me refers to the creator, and that's John with a J. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace me with J. And there you have it. You now have Qing Shi. Qing Shi, if you recall from the supplemental section, page 234, is the olive green jade bracelet. In the second paragraph, it reads, Jade was originally named after the word Jingqi, meaning life force, as the stone believed to carry the energy of life itself. Later, jade became associated with 5 virtues: charity, rectitude, wisdom, courage, and equity. But wait, there's more. If you were to apply the cryptogram key to the word search, to the entire word search, I've only highlighted 2 spots here. 2 significant things do happen. 1, the word square contains all of the Roman numerals almost in order, except for the X, which we'll talk about later. If you recall from the word search, the word square and 3 are the only 2 horizontal words that are actually touching. So let's go ahead and add 3 to the end of our number. The Roman numerals equate to 1654. And if we put 3 at the end, 16543, and you take every individual number and add them up, it becomes 19. 19 is a nod to Zork. And in Ready Player One, they had to play Zork in order to get the copper key. So this is an indication to me that we've got the correct key. The copper key is, in fact, the cryptogram key. And something else significant happens. If you look in the commonly referred to 5x2 area, you'll notice the word key, which is separated from the other letters by letters that don't have a substitution for it. So it's actually spaced out to give it attention so that we focus on the word key there and that we maybe look in this area for our Jade Key, which we found. And also the systems are tying together, the cryptogram key and also the word search as far as the copper key and the Jade Key. Now that's it for this episode. And the next episode, part 2, we're going to go into how you use the Jade Key. What happened here that you need to look for? What changed here? It's not a dead end. There's more to do. So what is that next thing? Well, we'll cover that in part 2. And also we'll try to circle back to how you use the copper key as well. And on the path to find the 5 clues. Thanks for watching. I know this was a long one, but there's a lot to cover. Thanks so much. Bye.